Welcome to Home's Room. Just like Homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin.
Welcome back. I'm back with a homie and an impromptu interview. Welcome back, Mackenzie, Mr. Spencer. What's up?
How's it going, man? I'm glad to be back. This is awesome. You've progressed so much since we did our first interview. It's awesome to see.
Well, thank you. That's big props because when I think back about it, that first interview, like you and Simo were like the first two people I did, and it's friends and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I was like super nervous, like, man, what do we, is this going to go all right? Is this going to be a thing? And to flash forward to now, it's really awesome to see how much like you two have done in that span, but also like respectively have also done, and to think about all the conversations I've had and been able to have, it's just like it's wild to me.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see the amount of episodes you've done, man. Like you're just dedicated and in it, which is really fun. And it's fun to jump in after all that and then get to see like, all right, what's the difference now? What have you learned? All of that, super fun.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I like mentioned before we like press record is it's going to be a little bit of a difference from when you were here before, because now I know how to use the software. And we talked about how thankful I was that you got to use that, that you let me use the song. And, I was like, man, I wish there was a way that I could, let people hear a little bit of it. And before we jump into like why you're actually here, I just want to play a clip of that. And like, we could talk about the sound that you created. So,
Cool.
like the song for the Home's Room podcast is the instrumental for a song called Tether. And this is what that sounds like.
Sitting there in the eve, we divvy up, saying, "Oh, the saints don't go if they don't sense the wind." But I'll be on my way again and again and again. Lulled by the wind, she whispers to free.
Like, dude, there's just so much about that beat that's just so good. And like for me, like the note change, the beat drops, like all of those things, just like that is what I love. And like the music that speaks to me the most, like I could just feel it like in my bones. So like when you were coming up with that, like, did you have the words and you were just looking for a beat, or did you have a beat and then you like found the words? Because the mesh of the two was just so amazing.
Yeah. With that one, this is fun to go back on because I hadn't heard that song in a long time. And I'm like, oh, nice job, dude. Because, man, I was still learning how to record at that time. And I'm always still learning and trying to improve. At the time, I was living in Hawaii. I was recording that song in an apartment. It was like 80, 90 degrees outside. And I did parts of it on my laptop that I'd just gotten. And then I did parts of it recording on my phone, literally, and like sending it to my laptop. So you wouldn't have really guessed that, but that's kind of where I was at in learning to record and produce, which is not as easy as I expected, but I had ideas. And at that time, I didn't really feel any boundaries or anything. So I was just like, screw it, like let's just have some fun with I think I might have still been on GarageBand. So if anybody's out there trying to learn, like GarageBand's free. It's on your phone, it's on your laptop. Like
that's how we edit Home's Room episodes.
There you go. So
when I need to make those edits, that's what I use, and because it's free. It's like I got an iPad specifically for that, so I don't have to take up the room on my phone. I can do it on my iPad because, like you said, it's free, it's available, it's super simple to use.
Yeah, man. It's a resource.
Yeah,
and like,
exactly.
even if you're doing demos, out there, that's what you should be doing, or just whatever it may be, podcast for sure. But yeah, for that one, I didn't have any lyrics, man. I kind of just sat down and I was like, I want to make a cool sounding beat. I want to use some different sounds. And then the lyrics kind of came. And at that time, I think that song's mostly about just kind of moving around so much, rambling, whatever it may be. And I just had a lot of fun. Like there's a weird whirly synth in there that you can kind of hear, and you're like, what is that even at all? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then I recorded the vocals in a bathroom with a towel over my head. So it was fun, man. I'm really glad you guys get to use it because it's so cool for me to hear that as like an intro for a friend's podcast. It's awesome.
We, like I said, we just started playing it like in the studio before we start recording. So for me and Caitlin, whenever we get ready to record an episode, it's always like, we were talking about it, it's like we need a pump up song, and now that we play that beat drop just hits us, and it's like it's so friggin' amazing.
That's great,
so
man. Thank you.
Yeah, the last time you were here, you were talking about playing a show, and this was last April, that it was going to be, have you had that show go, and have you played any other shows recently?
Unfortunately, that show didn't happen. It was kind of
Oh,
a long story. I know it's a bit of a bummer, but my dad had some medical stuff, so that canceled all of that, which was fine. He's okay. He's alive. But I had to fly back emergency style back to Kansas. I had to go to Wichita where he lives and just help him out. So that got canceled. But since then, I've done a lot of other things like releasing songs, and then most recently releasing "Tear You Down," and kind of starting to go back under my full name, Spencer Mackenzie Brown, instead of Kinsey, which was simply just because so many people were uploading music under Kinsey that, constantly somebody's song would pop up and friends would be like, hey, I don't think this is you. So
yeah.
I had to switch it up and just go back to being me, which feels really good. And especially feels good with this song specifically.
Yeah. As somebody that also uses their names, I thought about, like a lot of other stuff. I just changed the social media from M Holmes Writer because like you said, I was trying to be low key, but like whatever. And now, the Homes Room podcast is what it is. And, it's me, it's my name. So I changed my social for the podcast to that. So like, I feel that name change thing. And it's like, it feels good to be out there as like the Homes Room podcast. And
Yeah.
I can only say that, like, I feel what you're saying. But you mentioned Tear You Down, and that's why you're here. We're going to talk about that in a second. But one of the other songs that, like, at that time, we were talking about, and I don't know if I told you this story or not. I think I did. I have another friend who we vibe on a similar like wavelength that you and I do. And he posted a video, and he was running in the rain, and I sent him one of your songs, and it kind of just like vibed a little bit. And then he said, I've been listening to that song on repeat, and it was Hanging Limb. And
Oh, cool.
he said that it was, he's like, it was just such a weird contrast, because I was telling him about the video, and like, you're getting drugged through the desert. And he was like, yeah, man, like I was running in the rain, and that song I just had on repeat. And I love the like contrast of like, I'm running through the rain, trying to, I guess, run away from my problems, trying to get my problems out through running. And, he's getting drugged through the desert, to his problems, and, just that like balance. But,
yeah.
I love that. And,
That's
I got
a great story, man. I didn't know that story. That's awesome. It's cool because that song specifically, I feel like didn't catch on like others. And that video I loved too. Andrew Shepard, who's from our area, and now lives in Denver now, but he made that video. He came out to Bend, and we filmed it in the desert mountains of Bend. And I just loved that concept. I was like, this is so simple. One shot, and it tells like a whole story, I feel like. And I love that song too. For some reason, that song just like, I'm proud of the beat. I'm proud of the little instrumentation, and I'm proud of the lyrics on that one. So it's cool to finally hear one person is like, hey, I like that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to play it real quick, so hopefully more people will be like, hey,
Cool.
I like that. And I'm only going to play a small clip of that one because, like I said, I love that one. And that one is like one of those songs where like it transports you to a place of like, where like, I don't want to say like a like old school Windows Media Player with the visualizer bouncing around as music, but like I can just like see this like dramatic world that you were sucked into in that song. So like I said, hopefully people check that one out. And that's, Hanging Limb. So the story behind that one, like you just said, and the video to me was just such a like modern Western, I guess. I don't even know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's just like it gives me that like, outlaw life catching up to him. Is he going to make it out of this? Is he not, kind of vibe? And was that like
That's
the
awesome.
plan?
No, but like kind of. Like,
Yeah.
with the song, I went into that song and I was like, man, I want to do something with mostly my voice. Like I want to prove that I can lean into that, and I want it to be reminiscent of like, old gospel or something, which is what I grew up around in Kansas City, to be honest, with my mom. And because she sang and all that. And I wanted it to feel like vocally driven, because people
Hmm.
often are like, man, your vocals, that's kind of what I latch onto. And I was like, okay, like let's lean into this a little bit. And I wanted it to be dramatic. And I love cinema and cinematics, so I wanted it to feel cinematic in a way. And so when Andrew came to me and we went out and filmed that, it was just so great. It's this person, we don't know who he's being dragged by, we don't know what he did.
Hmm.
We just know that the repercussions are happening now, and it's just this beautiful aesthetic. I love that he put it in black and white too. So yeah, let's get
Hmm.
that thing cranking, because I
Yeah, yeah.
love that.
Yeah, like I said, it just has like the outlaw and life is catching up to him. We're almost like an anti-hero kind of vibe, and
Cool.
I love that. So when it comes to conceptualizing stuff like that, like it from the last interview, it definitely sounded like it, where it's more about the like journey and taking it as it happens as opposed to having it all planned out. And as an artist, I'm a planner, but I also let the art organically talk to me. And for you, when art talks to you and your music talks to you and your beats or your lyrics or whatever it is
Mm.
talk to you, do you find that like you connect with things more, I guess, that happen organically rather than like when you're trying to like grind out something where it's just like, I'm gonna let that sit on the side and then it something finally clicks for you? Or do you keep working on that thing until it's right?
Man, that's such a great question, and I think a lot of a lot of artists wrestle with this. Like, what's the approach?
Hmm.
Do I and some people it's like, do I wait for inspiration? Do I grind? And I definitely adhere more to the grind style. Like, you got to show up for your art. You got to show up
Hmm.
and it will eventually give back to you. And I believe in that sacrifice. However, there's just times, man, when you sit down and things just start going well. And you have to listen to that and ride that wave, right? And that's when it feels the best. And I think a lot of musicians in interviews say that same thing. Is they could have written 10 songs and maybe some good ones come out of that, but when you catch that wave and you're just like, "Oh, this is great." You're not paying attention to the rest of the world at all. You're sitting in your room completely alone, or in a studio if you're fancy, and you're just like going. You're not thinking about what will people think, how will they perceive this, will I get listens, will I get on the radio. None of that comes into play at all. You're just doing your craft that you are obsessed with. And I think that's what we all as artists try to get to, is that zone. It's not always easy, but if you can get there, the best things happen. And even if it doesn't turn out to be something good, you're just happy to like live in your world for 4 hours and come out feeling like, wow, I was gone. Like I was
Yeah, yeah.
only in my art, and that feels great. And that's why you get into it in the first place, I feel. It's probably the same thing with writing. It's not, you don't get into these things because you're like, I can't wait to get attention. You get into them because you're fascinated by it. And you're like, I don't understand why I love this so much, but I'm diving in. And then you chase that feeling forever. And so, yeah, that definitely happened in this song. But sometimes, man, and Tear You Down is an example of that. You start something and then you sit on it for like 4 weeks. You don't listen to it at all, and you pull it out one day, and all of a sudden everything you needed to do just comes out, and you just knew it. So sometimes you got to let things sit as well.
Yeah. uh you know I will say that it's the same for writing. I know when I was writing like Here Remain the first time around and everything, it was definitely about like, I don't know why this story is so compelling, but like my hand and my mind need to get this on the page, and I don't
Mm.
know where. Like 3 hours go by, and it's like, damn, man, like I actually need to go eat, so I might need to stop for a second.
That's the
Um,
best feeling though, right? Like
yeah,
for some reason, I'm very thankful to be an artist. I'm not saying we're better or whatever than anybody else, but I'm thankful to have this because it's so fun to chase something like that, to sit and write for 3 hours and be like, I'm telling a story,
Hmm.
whatever it may be. For some reason, that just feels like magic compared to other things.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I think that one of the things that gets said a lot is like, oh well, I do this art because whatever, I'm not trying to have it be my full time job. Like I'm not trying to I'm trying to do, and it's like I think that there's a fine line between like artists that like have that approach and that mentality, and artists, and I might lump you in with me on that one, but like if I could make writing my full time gig, like that's what I do. I get to just be able to throw myself in that environment, and like it can pay my bills, or at least I don't have to worry about paying my bills. I
Hmm.
can devote more time, more energy to that creative side of me, like in a heartbeat. Like I would gladly sit and sip coffee on my back porch, trying to brainstorm a story, and then spend some time putting it down, or helping other people even like brainstorm their ideas and get them to the point where they can do it. To me, like that's the joy of creativity, is that it's all so unique. Every time you go
Mm.
through it, it's different. And
Wow. Yeah, that's a great way of
like
putting it.
you're you're here today because you have uh one of those achievement unlock moments, and why I kind of lump you in with that is because you just had a song play on the radio,
Yeah.
and that's pretty fucking dope, my friend.
It is
Congratulations.
cool. Yeah, thank you, man. That feeling never really gets old. Like maybe superstars are like, oh, I'm on the radio, no big
Yeah.
deal. But to be honest, it never gets old for some odd reason. I mean, I think when you're a young musician, for some reason, being on the radio feels like I made it. I did
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
because I don't know, it's like magic coming out of your car, you
Yeah.
know, and it's really cool.
So we're gonna play that here in a second, but I just want to say this: longtime listeners to the Homes Room podcast will have like heard stories about this, and like people that know me personally have like probably experienced it. But it's like I'll reach out to you and be like, "Hey, I was just thinking about you today. Like, I want to make sure you're all right." And they're like, "Damn, that's weird because I am going through some shit, and like I'm glad you
Mm,
messaged me." And it's just like one of those things where like I get a vibe, I get a feeling, I get a like a Peter Tingle, as
yeah.
they said in Spider-Man. And it's just like, damn. So the other day I was, I think I went to the store and I was coming back, minding my business, and I just like, it just hit me like a fucking sledgehammer. And I was like, man, I don't know why like Spencer stuff isn't on the radio. I think that's so
Mm,
weird. And then I started, there's an artist I really like called Noah Gunderson, and
yep.
his music reminds me a lot of your music. And I was like, I wonder why, like if there's a radio station that plays that kind of music, because that would be my radio station. Like that would be the thing that I listen to, because I love that, like that like it's got a little bit of soul in it. You can tell the like R&B like undertones, but also like it's just folky, and like it falls in its own category. So I was like, I don't even know what radio stations would play that kind of music, but damn, I would love to hear my boy on the radio one day. And then a few days later, you hit a post saying, hey, guess what? And I love that. That was just so cool.
That's cool, man. I appreciate all of that and all the thought put into that. It is cool. Like, and Noah Gunderson, he's from Seattle, which is just north of where I live, by a few hours, but he's up there. And I love that guy. I've listened to that guy's music for a long, long time too. So that's really cool to be lumped in with him at all. But yeah, man, it's fascinating and it's cool. And I was lucky living in Lawrence in Kansas City to be on the bridge, in Kansas City, and they do a great job. And I want to encourage any stations out there, like they do a phenomenal job of blending local music with the popular music, whatever you want to call that. And they did that very, very intentionally, and I think it builds a music scene in your city. I think it builds
Hmm.
a prominent, strong music scene in your city, and it builds a supportive music scene in your city. And I know that from experience, because when I was on the radio in Kansas City, people would come to my shows who had never met, never heard of. They'd only heard it on the bridge, and that's why they came, right? And it also causes a music scene to kind of elevate their quality as well, because if they want to be on the bridge, they got to work a little
Mm-hmm.
harder on their songs. They got to have a higher quality thing, but it is possible and it is achievable, which is not the case in most communities. So here in Bend, the station was really cool, really receptive. And I found out that the DJ, she was a former VP at a record label, Atlantic, for 12 years. So she's highly skilled in this industry and knows what she's doing. And she's blending and building a local hour. And our community here, has the opportunity to create some really solid music and then be featured on the radio station if you do. So it's such a great thing for a community and for a music scene. So I just highly encourage anybody out there to just incentivize that, push it, and talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that a little bit more in a second because I want to play the clip of it. But in this episode, I was like I said, I've been trying to push myself to make these episodes a little bit more dynamic, have a little bit more, like variation, so they're not all the same. But so I've been clipping in this music with us, and we can hear it live, so like we're feeling it and we're vibing.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons I wanted to do that is because this song isn't the same as everything you've done before, and I love that. So like when you hear this one, I got some other songs that are a little bit older that are some of my favorites, and this one is like, it's different but it's still you. So like I said, I want to play this one real quick.
Cool.
Yeah, man. I feel like that one hits me in this like, it's this like hot ass, like the stage is like 10 by 20, the place is packed, the bar has got like one of those rails so like the crowd can't push up against the bar, and like lights are going, music's loud, everybody's sweaty but having a good ass time. Like that's the vibe I get from that song.
Man,
So
I love
tell
that.
tell us what where that came from. Like what was what brought that together?
Dude, I just love and appreciate hearing that so much because, I've been recording for a long time now, and I've recorded in studios with friends. Shout out to Isaac Flynn from Hembry. And I've never been able to capture what I love to do live on a stage for some odd reason. And everybody would this would happen all the time after shows. People would come up and be like, wow, like I didn't expect you to play with that amount of energy, with the electric guitar, even almost like a rock band. And I was like, well, yeah, this is kind of what I do, but it doesn't translate in the recordings. I couldn't figure it out for some reason. Or, sometimes an engineer can steer you in a direction and you're wanting to go another way. That can happen. They're not doing it maliciously. It's just like they hear your song and they're like, I think it'll thrive this way. And those songs were great and awesome and did great things for me, and people still listen to them, which is really cool. But in reality, I love being on a stage with my drummer and my bass player and just kind of being loud like this. Like it's fun. It feels good to play. It's way cooler. So for this one, I didn't go in intending to make a kick-ass song that sounds like a loud rock band. My buddy, Connor Lewis, who's a voice actor in England, he was like, hey, can you make a podcast intro for me? And I was like, sure. What do you want? And he was like, kind of rock, like faster, and I was like, okay, I can do that. And I had been recording on all synths for quite a long time, and maybe some acoustic guitar, but I was honestly kind of afraid to whip out, the electrics again, because I was like, maybe I forgot how to do it, to be all honest, and so I just did one day, and I was like, man, this is so fun. Like I'm having a blast just making some guitar parts, like I'm hanging out with, my friends back home. And suddenly I had to figure out, okay, how do I make these guitars sound good? How do I make them sound big? How do I make these drums sound big, which are programmed? I'm not actually playing that. That'd be cool. And suddenly it started to sound like a little bit more of like what I used to do. And I was like, okay, this is feeling really good. And then I sat down and was like, well, what vocals would go on this? And I'm like, well, you can't just whisper on a track like this.
Yeah.
And people were wanting a little bit. They wanted a little bit more out of me vocally. Would come up sometimes. And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. You're right. Like let me do what I usually do. So I just sat down and started writing, and I was like, this is a pop rock song, no doubt about it. Like, let's just own what it is and start working through it.
Yeah. I I think that it comes across that way, and like that's what, like, I don't want to say levels, but you could tell, like the beat was the foundation, and then you had to match the beat minimum, and you couldn't be softer than beat. So then
Yeah.
the vocals elevate it. And like I said, I love the music that you put out because every bit of it has some sort of soul, even if that
Mm,
soul doesn't like exist in the same like theoretical body. Like you could
yeah.
tell like this song has a Ramblin' Man soul. This song has the song or the heartbeat of a wounded lover who wants to love again but maybe is afraid to. And like
Mm.
this song has the like, I fucking own the world, and I don't care if my world is only these 3 feet around me and these people in front of this stage, but this is my world and I fucking own it right here.
Dude, I love that. You're so spot on. You're so good at dissecting songs, which is really fun for me. Because like you get right to the point, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dang, all right, Matt's got it down. So yeah, man, you're right. What's funny about this was one of those songs that I put away for like weeks. Like I didn't think there was anything to it. I was like, okay, cool, cool guitars, cool drums, whatever. And I had just bought a bass, and shout out to the bass right there. Just bought a new bass, and I was like, you know what? This song needs like a bass line. This song needs a bass line that thumps. And I put that down. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. This is going somewhere. Started working on the vocals and started telling a little story, because sometimes it's easier when you're not telling your own story to just write a song. You're like, I'm just gonna write what I think would be a good song, a good story. And so I started telling this tale of what you just said, just like, somebody is trusting in their partner, somebody, is in love or whatever it may be, and that turns out to not be true, but you still have this desire for them. You still kind of get entangled in each other, which I'm sure a lot of people out there have experienced. But like you also mentioned, it's like an anger, it's like an aggressive
Yeah.
feeling because you're hurt. And this song has that aggression where you're like, yeah, this might have happened to me. Maybe I was betrayed, but like, now I'm feeling good. I'm
Hmm.
feeling, you know, I'm ready to embrace this. Maybe I still want it, but at least I'm in control here in some manner or the other. And just rock music just feels good to play in general. So yeah, man, I appreciate your dissection of all that.
So one of the dream jobs I have is I would love to be the person that picks music for like movie scenes, because I just, it's something about like a scene that'll speak to me, and it's like this song pairs perfectly with this feeling. Or I can close my eyes, hear a song, and I can see this world playing out because of this song. And I'm always curious as to whether that's been like what the artist wanted, or whether that's what they saw when they were writing this song, or whether that's what they saw when they closed their eyes in the booth putting it out. And to have a artist in front of me, and to be close to what was actually happening, and the mindset behind it is awesome. Because at the end of the day, like, any artist just wants people to be able to appreciate their art. If they don't see
Mm,
all the way into it as deep as possible, whatever, but like, to be able to just have somebody say like, dude, I dig that. Like, I feel like this is, that's the goal. That's the want. And
yeah.
I really love that. So, can you walk us through a little bit of like how you, I guess, started to get the ball rolling on the song being put on the radio? Like, was it just like a, what, I'm gonna shoot my shot, or like, what happened?
Yeah, this is great for young artists or just any aspiring musician to hear as well. So, you know, first, when you're trying to do outreach like this, it can be overwhelming, and you're just gonna fail like 99% of the time. So anybody out there that's like, I want my music on the radio, just accept like you're going to send a lot of emails and a lot of failures, and maybe your songs aren't ready yet. Maybe they are, and somebody will just be like, hey, let's do this. But maybe they aren't ready yet, and that's okay. You just, on the next song, send the same email, do the same thing. This time it felt different for me because I guess I've been doing this for a while now, and I just kind of woke up and I was like, you know what? I think this song should be on the radio. I think it should. And I found the local station's contact info and I copied every single person at their station, put them in there, and I just wrote a really short, succinct email, which was just, a polite hello, some information. I'm releasing a new song. Here's what it sounds like. And here's, a little bit of credentials for me as an artist, which you want to try to make as, sound as impressive as you can, or just be honest. If you're just a new artist, just be honest, but keep it short, professional, and sweet. And then I attached the MP3, I attached the Spotify link, I attached an image, just to look professional and cool. And within days, they got back to me and they're like, hey, I like this song. Like, let's put it on. I'm going to put it on here at this time. Get ready. And then next action was, whenever somebody does that for you, first off, say thank you. And then, just start telling everybody because, they're hoping, not only are they supporting you, which is really cool, but they're hoping that you help get some people to tune in, and listen to their station. So just start supporting them. So create some hype around it. And it's fun to create hype. So whenever you get this kind of crazy opportunity, don't just sit in your room and listen to it yourself. Like, bring your friends into that world because it's really fun, man. People are stoked to hear you on the radio. So like, have a party. We made some steaks and had some pizza and like invited everybody we could. And it was awesome. It's like, it's so fun. But when I was first starting, man, you just got to send a lot of emails. You got to send a lot of emails. You got to try to be professional. And you got to be relentless. And at some point, somebody will pick you up and give in.
Yeah, that's, similar to what we've got going on here. People always say, the number one thing in podcasting isn't, like your reach, isn't your, this, like, content matters, but what matters more is like the consistency. And like we kind of talked about it a little bit where it's like how many episodes I have now is to my credit, but also to like the validity of what this podcast is. And my goal for this next season, because this is season 2 we're in, is to try and secure some like high quality guests that I think are above my weight class, because at the worst they're going to say no or not respond at all. At the best, they're going to be like, hell yeah, I'll do it, like whatever. And I got some interviews already that I've done, some that are coming up that are that thing. And what it comes down to is, not being afraid to send those emails, not being afraid to respond to, somebody's like whatever bullshit comment kind of thing, and thinking that like, oh, they would never answer my question if I asked, and like just being like, hey, since you already responded to this comment, like if you're ever interested, like I would love to talk to you on my episode. So like that earworm is there. Like they maybe they read it, maybe they didn't, maybe they see that it is, but maybe they won't seek you out. So if you do send that email to them, they're like, oh damn, that's that person that like asked me that forever ago. I remember him. They were nice, or they were, they were professional, or whatever that thing is, like you said. So like I'm glad to hear that like that's where you went, and that's how you fought through, is just being consistent and being professional and grinding it out. And I think in today's world, like one of the things that I've noticed, and like, art is different depending on its medium, but is the support and having people share your work, having people like hype you up and hype up other people and hyping up yourself. Like those are so much more valuable than I think anybody really gives credit to, except for like the starving artist who's like, hey, like I love my stuff, come listen to it.
Yeah, man. We've talked about that inner circle hype. That's very, very important. And, don't be afraid to do any outreach, just be professional, fake it till you make it. Something will give, I promise you. And work on your craft the entire time. I mean, that's one point, like, you're reaching out to these people, kind of above what you might feel currently that you could get, but you've also got a whole list of episodes, You know, so it's like whenever they go there, they're like, oh, this guy's actually serious. Like he's putting in the work. He's been putting in the work for a while. So whenever that station, you know, saw my Spotify, you know, they're like, oh, here's the list of people he's shared stages with. Okay, he's done some stuff. He's trying to be professional. And then, you know, here's his professional email, the recordings quality, you know, and he reached out to us on his own. Like, maybe we should consider this guy. Let's take a look. Okay, his Spotify looks good, you know. And if you're totally new, then who cares? You know, get that song recorded and just try everything. Yeah, until you get a win. But yeah, I think, you know, again, then you need that hype. So you need those people in your life who are like, hey, and I do have those people like I've talked about, you know, they'll tell me straight up if they're like, not your best work, but they'll tell me whenever I've got something good and that gives you a fire, you know, and you're like, okay. So from this whole experience, you know, I got on one station and I was like, well, that went well. Like, can we get 100 of those? So now I'm like working with a company to do strictly radio outreach because I'm like, let's see if we can make something work here. And then that sparked like, you know, another type of outreach that I'm working on. Like, let's see how many podcasts we can get on. Like Matt invited me back. If Matt's willing to have me on a show, like maybe I can get 20 more. Who knows? Who's out there? Like
share the link to these episodes so people know what it's about. And like that's one of my biggest things is for, you know, as an artist, as somebody like I have a promise to my listeners. I'm never going to put somebody in front of you that's just here to like hawk themselves. It's just here to like try and sell you a product or whatever. If I don't believe in it, if I haven't tried it, if I don't know about it, then like I'm sorry, but I'm not. If you're willing to send me something fucking free and say like, hey, try this out. And if you like it, you know, have me on, cool, whatever, I'll do that. But like, you know, at the end of the day, you sharing this link and saying, hey, I've been on, these are some interviews that I've done, you know, and trying to get on more podcasts. I think that, you know, that can only help. I'm going to sidebar real quick, only because like while you were talking, I had the thought about it. And I think we both need to, keep each other honest. And, you know, like you said, you were nervous to pick up the electric stuff and, you know, like whatever. So, I was like, man, I feel the same way whenever I go into, you know, I got my hockey sticks behind me. I go the same way every time I get ready to play a game or whatever. And like, I can score goals and it's just beer league. So it's not like, it's like something super crazy, but you know, like I'm a decent enough player that I can score some goals. And, I'm always like, pressure on myself, like, oh, I don't know if I'm that good, or I don't know if I'm whatever. And, you know, I'm still learning, still trying to figure it out. So, I think, you know, you and I need to put like a piece of tape on, like, I'll put some of my sticks, you put some on the neck of your guitar. And every time you crush it and you feel good, or I score a goal or something, I'm just going to put a tally mark on it.
Oh,
so,
dude,
like,
I love that.
So every time you look at it, it's like, nah, man, I can do some stuff. I got like, there's like 4 marks on that thing. I could probably put another one on there if I tried.
I love that, man.
Challenge issued, my friend.
Let's do it. Everybody out there, you can do that too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm hoping is like people start to like, listening to this podcast, getting motivated, start to find ways to motivate themselves and keep themselves motivated. And like, I don't know about you, but I always motivate myself with like the dumbest stuff. Like, man, I gotta do this thing. And like, I want some sour gummy worms. So I can't go in the kitchen and get those sour gummy worms until I've done at least like 20 minutes of this stuff. I love
that. I do stuff like that too.
Yeah, it's just what you got to do. And, you know, to be motivated is only half the story. To be talented is only like part of the story. It's about like finding ways to like push yourself and, you know, what scares you. And I like, you know, for me, talking to you is always like such a good like feeling. But speaking of feeling, I got some other songs I want to play clips of because you know, this one, and again, I don't know why or what it is that speaks to me, but this is hands down probably like it's on my my pain playlist. But it just like, you sound good, she sounds good, the beat sounds good, the words are good, and it just like, it makes me feel. So, you know, I want to play this one, and this is one that I'm pretty sure it's a little bit older, so you'll have to tell me how old this one
probably
is.
Standing on the coast wasn't good enough for me. Saw you in a corner and it changed the way I see it. Told myself you were all I'd need. Oh, how the words pour from the guilty. I will try my best to change. Enough is enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man. That is an older one. That song is probably my favorite song I've ever written, just because structurally, like I wish I could redo the recording in some ways, but
Mhm.
structurally, I'm the most proud of that song structurally, meaning like the chords, the melodies, the lead into the
Mhm.
chorus, how the chorus flows from the
Yeah,
verse,
I feel it.
and everything, man. Yeah, I've always thought like, dang, this should be the one that blows up, but.
Yeah.
And it is fun, man. And Ali sang on that song, and Ali and I were in a relationship for a long time together as well. And, so that song became very personal, and singing that with your partner is also a very
Yeah.
intriguing, emotional experience in a lot of ways. We sing that many, many nights, in front of many, many people. And I've just always been really proud of that. Like lyrically, chords, everything, man. I'm like, I did a good job on this one, and I love when people like that song because I'm like, thanks, man. That's the one I put a lot of work into.
It shows, and that's the thing is like I feel like there's so much heart in that song. I feel like there's so much like I was a big fan of the show Nashville, and
Mm,
on Nashville there was some star-crossed lovers ish story where like they were destined to be not destined, and every time they tried to make it work, something just made it, pulled them apart, made it so it wasn't going to happen. But they put out really good songs together, and they matched each other so well, like on a musical standpoint, that like
mm,
it sold their relationship that much more. And uh those songs that they did are some of my favorite songs as well, just simply because like it's something about the like dance almost between somebody in a relationship trying to record together, putting all of themselves in this song because they love the music, but also they're passionate about each other, and just the way that it plays
mm.
together. And I always like come back to that song as, like I said, one of those like, man, this again, like, why isn't this on the radio? It should be on the radio because it's good. So
Yeah, that song got some radio play in Kansas City, which was cool. But yeah, man, I appreciate all of that. I mean, that's kind of, once you write a song, a lot of time that one for sure was like, an experience I was having myself, right? So the lyrics, everything about it was like, this is me processing something. But then when it comes out, it becomes whatever you want to make of it. So if you're listening, it could be whatever you're relating it to, which is the most beautiful thing really an artist can have the opportunity to partner in, honestly. So, whatever you listen to and hear in that is amazing. That becomes your song, your experience,
mhm.
whatever it may be. And that's like the coolest experience ever when people come up and tell me, that song means something to me. Because, I'm not a big artist. I'm not Wilco or Taylor Swift or whoever it may be. And so it's cool whenever somehow something I wrote has linked to somebody's life and it like continues on. It's really fun. And you're like, man, I was just at the time writing in my basement, trying to do the best I could as a younger musician. And that song is still being played today. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's amazing, and that makes it completely worth it in general.
Yeah. So moving from like a little bit of an older song to like something that's new, and like I'm gonna just play it, and you're gonna tell us about it and tell us what it's called and all that, because I'm just gonna hit you with it. So here we go. I like I said, you tell me. So what's that one, man?
Yeah, so All You Seek Is Within. That was all right. So I love writing, pop music. I love writing a folky hit or being on the synths and writing kind of just I don't know, like a sexy pop song or something. But what people don't know is I also love and have always loved like instrumental, cinematic type music, just stuff you can sit in and close your eyes, or something that would partner well with some type of video or a movie. I mean, my love for movies, so you know
Yeah.
where that comes from,
Yeah.
which is a long time. But I've just always like instrumental stuff for some reason stimulates me so much. And I love being able to do that. And, you know, whenever I was releasing EPs and albums like Regrets, which is the last song we listened to, I never would have done an instrumental section because I felt this pressure like, you've got to make a song. You've got to make something people can sing to. You've got to get something, you know, on the radio that you can play live. And I don't feel that pressure anymore. I'm like, you know what? I love this little instrumental thing. I love the emotion behind it. I was having such a good time just sitting in my room, lost in a world, trying to make a soundscape. And somebody out there is going to put that on and feel the same way. Maybe they're going on a walk. Maybe they're in the mountains having a fire. Maybe they're, you know, sitting at the foot of a lake, or hiking, whatever it may be, or they just need to go reflect for a little bit. Like, that's what I wanted that song to be, is just, you know, and the title for me at the time is I was just like, look, you know, I'm here, I'm making music. Maybe I'm going through some things, but, you know, everything I need will come. It will. And, you know, a lot of that is within you, you know, learning from yourself, developing over time. And for some reason, that song that's what it said to me, you know? And so, yeah, man, I'm glad you appreciate that one too. That's cool.
Yeah. You said like you, like sexy pop song kind of thing. And I want to play this one because this is one of those ones that like, when you were on the last time, like you were talking about it and, you know, I played your music for other people and tried to get their opinion. And this one is one of those ones where it's like, it fits that bill of like sexy pop song kind of vibe. So, but it's also like a little bit of like, I'm still just me. And like, that's cool for you, but I'm gonna be over here. So we'll hit this one up and you tell me what this one is.
You'll never leave my Maggie, sipping on your words at night, drink it down your taste so foggy. I'll have another glass when you got time, and I ain't trying to change your ways. Every bit of you should stay, spend another night with me. I'ma make it up in the morning. Oh, I know it hurts to go, and you burn so slow. You can come back on your own time. Every night I beg and pray, try to keep the thoughts there.
Fucking groove, my friend.
Yeah, on your own time, man. That one I'm very, very, very proud of. And I recorded those vocals in a closet. So I just want to encourage artists.
Yeah.
I know how, I mean, maybe this has changed now, but I know how many artists are like, you know, I got to get in the studio or I've got to get the best equipment or whatever it is. And you did the same thing. You just started, you know, you just started with what you have and then you built it. And I just want to encourage people to just do that, man, because people wouldn't think I was just in a closet, literally like laying down on the ground sometimes, just like making stuff up, you know, like I spent all weekend doing that. And I love that song. So On Your Own Time, you know, I was really trying to get away still from the guitar for whatever reason. I was being an artist about it. And I wanted to I just love so many types of music. You know, I love Khalid. I love The Weeknd. I love Post Malone. I love all types of music, and I want to be able to do that. Is that advisable for me? I don't know, but I want to be able to. It's
working out so far.
It doesn't matter, man. I want to be able to walk into a studio with anybody and be like, I can contribute to this song. That's really a goal in my life. Like if I was sitting in the studio with Post Malone, I'd be like, I got this. Like I understand what you want to do and what you can do, and I can contribute in a meaningful way. And I love being able to be that diverse. And this song was kind of a bigger swing at that, where I was like, first off, I'm in my feelings again, and I want to make something that just vibes a little bit. Like I want you to be able to drive around the city at night and feel better about what you're going through. And that did it. Like I knew this one girl, actually I didn't know her. She found me. She listened to it through a breakup, like weeks on end. And I can confirm this with her roommate. She played it over and over and over all day. And it's like, dang, that might be one person, but I made a song that helped somebody get through something really rough. And like, that's cool. But this song to me was like, you know, I'm just like, dang, I hate to categorize it as this, but like a little bit of sexy music. Like I love that, you know, it's fun, man.
100%. Like I said, that's one of the first songs that came to my mind when you're talking about making like sexy, like sci-fi poppy kind of like, that's literally like, that's what came to my mind. Yeah. It's just so good. And, you know, like we kind of talked about it earlier where like, you know, like I said, using a podcast to talk about what you can do. And I told you, like, I've gotten better at using the software. I've gotten better at like understanding how to put together an episode that might be a little bit more dynamic. And one of the things that like I hope that like you coming back on, we use your music, and I plug you at the end of every episode in our outro, like more music available on Spotify, like go check them out.
Yep.
But I hope that this episode, playing these clips, is something that people will be able to hear the range, and exactly like what you just said, where it's like I can contribute anywhere. I want to try and get to that, build that portfolio so that I could be like, look, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. This qualifies me to be in the room, and I know that in myself, I'm here. I can do this. So like I hope that this montagey episode of like just clips of your greatest hits throughout the time span is something that you can look back on, but also use as a tool to help you out and get you moving where you want to go. And speaking of, glad to see you back on social media. It's good to be able to keep up with you and see what you're doing, see that like you got stuff dropping. Like that's been a really huge help, because I don't get on Spotify a ton anymore because I don't have as much time. So like when you drop, I think you dropped 2 instrumentals and I didn't even realize it until I got on, and it was like new music by, and I was like, and it had been like almost 2 weeks, 3 weeks since they've been out. And I was like, damn, I wasn't there to support the homie off the tip. But, has being back on social media, like, has it helped you, or has it just been like an extra thing to worry about?
Man, yeah. I got off because I just wanted to balance life a little bit and just be in life. And I know that sounds like, oh, so cliche now, but it was real. And when I got back on, I just, first off, I realized like I'm putting a lot of work into this music, like a lot, man. Like I will stay up so late and I will spend a whole weekend. I live in a beautiful mountain town where if it is nice out like it is now, you should be outside and playing. And I will sit inside for 2 days straight just to get a good song out. And sometimes to get a terrible song done. So, getting back on, I think was good. Starting to go back by my full name, Spencer Mackenzie Brown, was good. It's all been really refreshing, and trying to use it as a tool, not only to connect with people I care about and love, but to actually accept like, hey, this can be a good thing. This can be a positive experience for your art, and you can create a positive experience. So just be funny with it, have fun. I'm trying to work on that persona or whatever you want to say, and just like be a positive influence in people's life through that social media, and then promote what I'm making at the same time. So what's cool about it is, whenever you put out a song and people like it, they start to support you, and having that support means the world to me. I have people all over the world, that are my friends. I call them friends. And to know that they're sitting in their car, blasting my new song and recording it to all their friends. I'm like, that's gotta be one of the coolest things ever. This wasn't possible like 40 years ago. And now here I am, somebody's in England, Qatar, Canada, New York, Florida, whatever it may be, other countries. I don't even know these people. That's the coolest feeling ever, man. And sure, it might not be, the most listens, might not be the most, famous person ever, but you've just got to kind of zoom back and be like, man, this is rad. Everything that's happening is so fucking cool. So like, let's just enjoy it, embrace it, and then just have the hype. Let's have fun as friends. And so social media is kind of part of that. It's like, seeing what you're doing on there, seeing how many episodes you're cranking out. I'm like, this guy's going hard. Like, he's not joking around. Like, who you're interviewing. I'm like, this dude's interviewing like a doctor now. I'm like, what? Like, how did it go from me to a doctor? And so it's like, yeah, let's hype it up. Like, Matt's taking it seriously. This isn't just some little pet project. Like, he's going hard. Same with me, man. It's like people were cool and supportive. Like, dang, Spencer put out a song. Okay, I listened to it. It's cool. Oh shoot, it's on the radio. Like, we've got to support him. Like, we've got to hype him up. Like, from everywhere. So people in Kansas City, Lawrence, all over the country. And I was like, hey, I appreciate it. It's small. It doesn't take much, but dang, dude, you just motivated me to just work a little harder and keep going. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that compliment. That's one of the things that, like, having these conversations, one of my favorite, I guess feedback comments I got was, I did an episode with a lifestyle vixen. She, like, talking about like the types of the types of content that she puts out and this, that, and the other thing, and like building her brand. And, somebody reached out and said, this, chick is putting herself all the way out there and like, posting nudes. And, I'm just trying to do my own thing and like my art. And like, I think that like, if she can do that, like I could do anything. And I was like, exactly. Like, that's the point is, like that having these conversations with all of these people and, in my opinion, and this is like why Holmes Room is so hard to like, I guess, define and what it is, and why it's been so hard for me to like put into words in a single explanation. But like all of you were equally like tiered. Nobody, like, it's not like I went from, you to a doctor. It's that I got to talk to you and a doctor. Like, as to me, those are the things. Yeah. Those are the, like the teeth that sink in and say, like I want to have a conversation with anybody willing to like put themselves out there and have this conversation in an open and honest way and support people and put, what they're doing and, what they believe, as long as it's not hurting somebody or, super negative or something like that, I am all about that. And, like I said, with season 2 coming out, there's more of those interviews and more of those things where like if you thought like the people that I interviewed like that in season 1, it was like, damn, this is crazy. Like season 2, and we're like, I've only, I think there's, let me look, I got my list right here. We got like maybe, like not counting you, like 10 episodes already done. So it's like
that's wild,
like,
man.
So like it's just crazy to think about the interviews you're already going to hear, and we haven't even gotten that far into it yet. So
yeah,
like I love it,
dude. I love it. I think this is like the most you I've ever seen you, which is a really cool thing to be able to say about somebody, right?
Yeah.
Is like, I've always known you to be kind of the hype man. You're like, hey, my people, I'm going to hype up my people. If there's anything I can do, it is support my people in their pursuits. And this is your ultimate version of that, but now it's become something separate from that, right? Because it is your thing. So it's no longer just you supporting people. You're like, this is my being is helping others out there. And it's going beyond just talking to Spencer. Now, like if anybody listens to this, hopefully they got some motivation and some hype to do whatever it is they're pursuing in life and just go one more day, one step further, which is like the coolest opportunity for us if we can possibly give that to somebody. That's like an amazing contribution into the world, and certainly something I value and I know you value, which is why we've been friends for so long, because we're like, hey, keep going, keep doing it, get hype, work on it, let's go, it's fun, man.
Yeah. I take that compliment like super to heart, because one of the I just interviewed one of my friends, and I told her, like I don't get to interview my friends very often. Like I think about it, and I have interviewed quite a bit of my friends, but it's like they're far between. It's not like every week I'm interviewing my friend. It's I interview a friend here, and then like 3 months will go by, and I'll interview another friend because they just fit with what we're trying to do for that month or for these episodes. And it definitely, like she said it, where it's like she got to know me outside of school, and like she realized that like professional me and like school me was different than like who I actually am. So for you to say like this is you're seeing me as like who I am in a different atmosphere, and creating that like that bubble of that sphere of influence with the show. Like I hope that people take positivity from it. I hope that people take, a little bit of motivation, but more than anything else, like I hope that they take like supporting your friends is the best payment for anything that you could ever do. Like, I know that if I never made $1 with this show, but I had, one friend be like, damn dude, keep going, 'cause I love this. Like that would be the payment for the week. Like I wouldn't need anything else, and that I love. I also got one more clip I want to play, and we're kind of winding down, so we're going to slow it down just a little bit. But you were talking about vocals and things like that, and I think this one has a fair amount of like strongness to it, but you'll have to tell me. All right.
Cool.
Lie me down in your waters deep, so I can feel the cold that's in come back to leave? Come back, won't you come back to leave?
Yeah, man. You said you like big beats, and that's one of those like big beat songs. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. I'm so glad you played that. This has been so fun, by the way. It's like listening to all these songs I haven't, because I don't just sit there and go
Yeah,
listen to my own jams all day, you know.
yeah.
But that song for me, that was a turning point in my musical creativity, you know, where I'd been writing in a certain way, I'd been recording in a certain way, and I was like, I want to do something different. And I actually didn't use my band. It wasn't that they weren't good or anything. They're like the best musicians I've ever worked with, but I was just like, I need something different. I'm chasing something a little different. I don't know what it is. And that song came out and I loved it. That's probably overall my favorite song I've recorded, I think,
Yeah.
because it just has so many elements that I love, like the drums, the rhythm, the cinematic aspect of it, the emotion in it, the finger picking. You know, I feel proud of everything I
I love
did
that
on that
sound
one.
so much.
Yeah.
That's like if a song has that in it, like 90% chance I'm gonna be like, I fucking love this song. This is going on the list.
Yeah, man. I'm really glad you brought that up. And Andrew Shepherd, you know, made a music video for that one as well back in the day, and like John Marzette and various people that I'm really connected with. You know, everybody was just so supportive and cool, and that song still hits to me, man. Like
Yeah.
I get tired of a lot of my songs, but that one I'm still like, okay, buddy, you did it. You did a good job here, you
Yeah.
know?
So I know you like performing live, and that's one of the songs, like, to me, I feel like is a bait and switch, where like when you hear it played on, like, you know, through your headphones or through your car, like it's loud and it's got the beat is like, it hits hard. And you know, if you have subs, like, I, you know, like like the bass will hit hard. But I feel like that's one of those songs, like you were talking about in the first interview, in which, you, if you haven't listened to the two-parter with Kinsey the first time, go back and, you know, listen to those after you listen to this one, and hear how not only the show has changed, but like how where he's come from, and hear the songs that we were talking about then. But like, I feel like that's the bait and switch, where like you get to perform that one live in front of people, and you were just belting it the fuck out and putting everything you have into every bit of
Yeah.
that vocal. And you know,
Thanks,
like I said,
man. Yeah, that's dude, that's the feeling I miss a lot, is that man, that's like your favorite feeling as an artist, as a performer, and that's what you chase. You don't chase like being on stage and just getting attention. You chase being on stage and losing yourself so much in what you're doing that there's really almost no one there, is really how you're feeling. You're just in the music, you're giving all your emotion and all your being into what you're doing. And if you can reach that level, people will respond. People will be captivated by that. So I always chased that every time I was playing live. And that song specifically, you know, I remember debuting that literally the first time I was opening for the Oh Hellos, which was a huge, huge show in my life, and playing that and just seeing the response, the difference between this song and the other songs, and that, you know, something was different about it. And I just loved it. Something feels, I don't know what it is. It's like very raw feeling, you know, the beat is
yeah.
just very raw, you know, and it kind of takes you somewhere, which is really cool. At least I hope it does for people.
Yeah, I think it does. I got two things I want to say, because it makes sense, and you brought one up, but the other one, like, we're coming in at like an hour and 5 minutes. I've been trying to keep them a little bit shorter, but I wrote 5 questions, and we talked for an hour. You know what I mean? Like, that just goes to show the, like, just how the level of vibe. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. But what
Absolutely.
you brought up is, you know, like you said, you like, I don't just sit around like listen, like jamming to my own music all day. It's like, I don't listen to my episodes all the time. Like, I listen to them to like check them, to make sure they sound good, to make sure I don't
Yeah.
gotta edit them. But like, then they're gone. I don't listen to them again until they drop, and I listen to them the day of, like, mostly to make sure that they like did what they were supposed to do. So if I have to
Yeah.
fix something, like, I won't know until they drop. Like, I can listen to them in like in the app of like, okay, that says everything's here, but then when they drop, like, it might be like fucked up or
course.
weird.
Quality
Yeah, but
check, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So like, that's the first time I listened to it as like a listener, and not just
Mm.
like the person doing them, is because I'm listening to it and taking in the content, because like it's just a podcast at that point. It's got, all this, all the features, the show notes, all that kind of stuff. And it's the same feeling, because it'll be like months since I recorded them. And then I'll hear it and it's like, damn, I forgot about that. Or, that was fun. Or, God damn, that was such a good conversation. And, that feeling when you hear your own stuff and you're just like, damn, all right. Like, I say it all the time. When I leave an interview, I'm like, yeah, that was a good one. Or, man, I kind of feel like that was a good one. We'll see. And then when I hear them back, it's like, damn, this is better than I remember it being. But man, it hits. Good job, everybody.
You know what? Everybody should be okay with that too, by the way. I feel like people kind of worry that, it's about ego or narcissism, but like, if you cook a good meal and you taste it and it's good, you don't pretend, you're not like, oh, I'm going to pretend that's not very good. You're like, damn, this is good. And you need that energy. It's not about the ego. It's like, you need to be hyped on what you're doing, because nobody else is if you are not, so you have to have that. And it's exciting. That doesn't mean I go drive around for 6 hours listening to my own voice, but like, I'm going to be excited. You have to be proud of what you've made, even if you're like, I wish I would have changed that or improved that or whatever it may be. You've got to be proud of what you made, because you made it and you put it out, man. And so you're certainly doing that. I'm incredibly proud to be on this show. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap this up? Like anything that you got you want to make sure that you like you said on this episode, promoting yourself or promoting your music, or anything you got coming?
Man, just these days I'm less shy about it. Just go listen to Spencer Mackenzie Brown and play Tear You Down. Somebody out there will like it. Play it loud, share it with your friends, man, because it's cool for me. It means a lot to me. And then, just go support other people in your life who are doing things, whatever that may be. Your little word of encouragement for that day could get them to that next level. And I promise you, it means a lot more to them than you ever know. So I push people to do that all the time.
Yeah. I love that message. For sure, go do that. And I hope that by listening to this episode, hearing his music, Spencer Mackenzie Brown's music on this episode, sorry, name drop. You want to go check out more of it. You hear a song, and you're like, damn, I actually kind of like the way that sound, and you go check it out. Just like the closing of the show says, like, more music available on Spotify. And we just, played a few songs. That's not even all of them. And I know, and I can tell you for a fact, Courtney drives a Jeep now, and the Jeep is the car that has the subs. And she'll come home and I can hear her coming. Like, I timed it once. It was like 30 seconds before she pulled in the driveway from the time I heard her to the time she pulled in the driveway. And I was like, man, what are you listening to, Spencer?
Man, I appreciate that so much, because I put a lot of work into those kicks and that bass, so I know she's actually appreciating all that. So that's cool.
It's always fun. And it's like, the other day I said, I wonder which one of our cars, because my Camaro's a little bit loud, the Jeep's loud, so neighbors hate the most, just simply because like they're loud in different ways. But music, and we can stay supportive and stay connected. I can say about people that I've been friends with as long as I've been friends with you, because it seems like those words are just like not that we've been able to be friends and to go through the cycle of what friends are, and friend on a level that's creative. Like, I sit here and think about it a lot, where it's like, I don't have friends that are into what I'm in, kick it with over here and do this thing. And being married and having kids, that makes it even harder. The country, and still be able to be like, damn, man, like, I support the hell out of you and you support the hell out of me. Huge thing. So keep that up. I'm glad you're on social media, so I'm going to be able to friggin' talk to you. See you dancing in like what was like a celebratory maybe little jig. Is that what you were doing in that video?
I don't know, man. You'll just have to watch for more. Probably. I don't doubt that at all, though. I do like to dance.
But again, thanks for being here. Check out his music, check out his social media, check out whatever, and all that will be linked, and anything else he wants us to say about him. So yeah. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, You can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Mackenzie.
There it
More
is.
music available on Spotify.
Go listen.
Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.